Hey guys, what's up? I'm Brian here doing another video for you guys, and this time I am talking about Wave 1 of the Transformers Generations Titans Returns toy line. This is coming off of Combiner Force, or not Combiner Force, Combiner Wars, there's a difference now. This is coming off of that line. This is the very first wave, so this is going to be the introduction. And what do I think as an introduction? I think it's pretty good, because it gives you a mix of a couple of different things. First up, it gives you 2 Autobots and 2 Decepticons, which I really like, okay? I like the idea that you actually get a split number of Autobots and Decepticons. It's not just mostly Autobots, or like Age of Extinction, where they were all Autobots for the first Deluxe class wave. Hell, even the Voyagers and Leader classes were all Autobots, and that drove me nuts. In fact, the whole lineup only had two Decepticons for the Leader class, Voyagers, and Deluxes. Heads up, this is going to be a rambling video. But anyways, so with that said, I don't think that was a great introduction. I think some of the figures were pretty cool, but I don't think it was fantastic. Because it wasn't split Autobots and Decepticons. For this it is, which is awesome because it's got that Headmaster gimmick. You can swap the heads with all these characters, so it's not just like you have one Decepticon out of the whole wave that you can only use for one character, but everyone else is an Autobot. No, they decided to split it in half, which I think is a fantastic idea. Another fantastic idea is you get 2 characters that are originally Headmasters, and then you get 2 other characters that weren't originally Headmasters. Now, I know a lot of people are complaining about the idea that these aren't Headmasters. To me personally, I'm having a lot of fun with the gimmick. I think it's a fantastic gimmick. It's probably one of the best ones we've gotten in years. And having more figures with that gimmick, I am totally fine with. I think it's a fantastic gimmick. While I probably prefer Target Masters over it, I really do like this idea. And you gotta remember, there is a Scourge figure with no Target Master. There is a Blurr figure with no Target Master in Generation 1. It was the first ones that ever came out. So I guess they don't really need that Target Master, so it's not necessarily that they're replacing the Target Master with the Headmaster. They're just giving it a different gimmick for this toy line. But I do like this idea that it really sets you up to whether you're going to like it or not, with 2 actual Headmasters and then 2 brand new Headmasters. And I think the brand new ones are pretty cool. Another thing that I really do like is it gives you 2 green characters and then 2 blue characters. So it's kind of like you can swap out the 2 blue ones. And yeah, they're going to be different colors, but at least you're going to get into that swappable gimmick. And then you got 2 of the characters that are green, and yes, this has a different coat of green in the back of it, but it really catches your interest to swap the heads around. And it's going to make you really want to do that, and I think that's a pretty good idea. Now, is the whole wave of figures great? Honestly, no. I think the Skullsmasher is the worst one. Now, people are going to argue with me and say that Scourge is the worst one, but I don't think so. Anyways, let's take a look at Hardhead. Actually, no. Let's save Hardhead for last. Let's take a look at Blurr. Blurr I didn't want because I wanted to get the Takara one, and I thought the Hasbro one was just kind of lame. I mean, look at the blue color of this. It's just all that teal color. Let me get a little bit more light onto that. It's just all that teal. Look at that. They couldn't add any more bright coloring to it, like any white or any real nice blue to it. It just has to be all pretty much teal. But to be honest, the mold really says something. It's really good mold-wise. I am really surprised by how the mold itself has distracted me from the paint to the point where I don't even care about the paint. I'm just happy to have the figure. I still prefer the Takara version. I like that look, but as far as I'm concerned, that's an awesome mold. It's very good. I got the Brainstorm, I think, before that or after. I can't remember. But I'm so glad that I got both molds. I think it's an awesome figure. And then as far as Skullsmasher is concerned, he's my least favorite because, one, he doesn't really have heels, so he can't really stand too well. I mean, you may have noticed that the knees are pretty much broken on this guy, because they have to move forward, which I don't like. That's all meant for him to stand, because he's got kibble on his back. Not a lot, but he's got kibble on his back. The color scheme itself, I think, is fine. I don't like the ball joints on it. It's very loose, especially for the hips. But other than that, there are stuff that I like about the toy. I love the Headmaster. I love the alligator mode. I like the pink and green. I don't know. It's just a pretty cool color scheme. It's weird, but I like it. And I like the weapons too. Yes, he's got the tail pretty much used as a weapon, but whatever. I just like the toy, and I think his head is probably the best Headmaster you're going to get out of this whole wave. I just like the color scheme of the black, and I love that. Love it! Anyways, the Scourge is a lot of people's least favorite of the wave. That and Highbrow. Now, I like Highbrow. I think he's pretty cool. He's kind of basic, but I really like him. As far as Scourge is concerned, yeah, he could have been better. Could have used a little bit more paint, especially in the robot mode, which the alt mode looks fantastic, but the robot mode, when you get to it, is mostly blue. But if I have to be honest, it's kind of like a previous Combiner Wars figure, one of the Protectobots, where you had one color scheme for, actually it was a secondary color for the alt mode, and then going into robot mode, you had a different secondary color scheme. And that's what it kind of feels like. It feels like everything that was the alt mode, and then everything that the robot mode is, it feels like two different things. And I kind of like that because you're going from one alt mode that's totally different from the robot mode. That makes it feel like a Transformer. My God, I like that idea sometimes, and for some figures it doesn't necessarily work, I will admit, but sometimes it will catch me on. I still wish that there were a few more colors in the robot mode, but it's got a lot of these tampos that I really like. Just throw in a little bit more color, and yes, he's got that bobbly head syndrome, which I really don't like. I've grown to ignore it. I do like the Headmaster itself. It would be nice if he didn't have the arms on the side of that, but I think he's not bad. And he fits in with my Cyclonus and Galvatron. Yeah, I got the Combiner Wars Titans Returns one. Those are the only of the three that I've got, and what I mean by that is I don't have the Universe Classics ones, or like the G1 versions. No, I just have the newer figures, and I think that's pretty cool. He really fits in despite the fact that he's a deluxe class figure, which actually makes a little bit more sense. He feels like a figure that should be troop built, like the Viacons. Like, I don't imagine the Viacons being a leader class figure. I imagine them being deluxes, so you can just buy a whole bunch of them. They're average size, which works for this figure. And then I love the little tops of the head, despite the fact that they don't really stay in place. I kind of like them. It just gives them a little bit more personality and interest. And I love the alt modes. As far as Hardhead is concerned, he was my introduction to the whole lineup. Now, one of the problems I had with him is a couple of the joints are very loose. And I knew that right away, that the joints were going to be loose on a couple of parts. However, what a fantastic introduction. I mean it. Hardhead was always my favorite when it came to the 4 Headmaster Autobots. He was always the coolest to me, alright? I didn't really watch a lot of the cartoon or whatnot, but I always thought that he's my favorite. I wasn't into Highbrow. Brainstorm was kind of cool. I thought Chrome Dome was awesome, but it was Highbrow that I really liked. Or, not high. Did I say Highbrow? Hardhead. Okay. Hardhead was my favorite. Hardhead was the one that I always liked. And my God, this is fantastic. This is the figure that I was hoping for so long, and they did it, and they did it right. I love the molding, the shaping, the tank mode. I think it would have been better if it was a Voyager. But I'm so glad that it's a deluxe class toy. I think that's pretty cool. Awesome little headmaster. I like the cannon on the back. I think that's pretty cool. His weapon is kind of basic, the green one, but that's not bad. I just think that that was a fantastic, fantastic, and I have to say it again, fantastic introduction to the whole line. Because that was my introduction. Now, maybe that's because the previous generation's figures were kind of the same, and I kind of don't like making this argument because they do make different figures for Combiner Wars, but if you really take a look at Combiner Wars, they pretty much have mostly the same transformation, and I do understand why they decided to go that route. I don't think a lot of people seem to understand. They're making a lot of figures for that lineup, and they kind of do the same thing anyways. They make an arm, they make a leg, they make a robot, they make a alt mode. So it kind of makes sense why they would decide and go ahead and make them kind of the same. But after a while, it just kind of got old. So going off of that and going into this new line, yes, Hardhead's not mind-blowingly complicated or anything like that to where it's like a huge refreshment, but he's a refreshment nonetheless. And I love this figure. I really do. I think that out of the whole lineup of this wave, he is my favorite. Except for maybe Blurr, because I love the molding on him. But Hardhead, I don't know if I keep calling him highbrow. Hardhead is just fantastic. I love this figure. So that is my opinion on the wave as a whole. I actually think it's a good wave to start off because, again, you get a couple of headmasters, original ones, and then you get a couple of new figures. So that's nice. With that said, that is my opinions. Please comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are and what you think of the wave. And I'll see you guys next time.